Interior declares that suicidal terrorists killed themselves in the Ruknuddin police station and the centre of criminal security in Bab Salah, killing 5 citizens and wounding 5 others. Units of the Syrian army destroy several terrorist gangs and their leaders in Barzeh Jobab and Al-Qaboon. The People's Assembly approves the draft law of imposing imprisonment and heavy fines on anybody entering Syria illegally. Welcome to our news bulletin. I'm Dania Nizam. The People's Assembly approved the draft law to impose a punishment on everybody entering the Syrian territory illegally. The punishment extends from 1 year to 5 years imprisonment, in addition to a fine of 5 to 10 million Syrian pounds. The Minister of Justice, Najm al-Ahmad, said that the current situation led to the entry of large numbers of persons into Syria under various names. Therefore, it was necessary to enact a deterrent law to all those entering into Syria illegally. Entry should be legal and legitimate. A suicidal terrorist explosion behind the ovens of Ibn al-Amid in the area of Ruknuddin in Damascus caused civilian casualties. The Ministry of Interior said in a statement this morning that shortly before 9 o'clock a.m., 3 suicidal terrorists killed themselves as they were trying to storm the building of the police station in Ruknuddin. The police clashed with them, and at 9:30, 3 other terrorists tried to enter the center of criminal security in Damascus. The police confronted them, killing them and causing their explosive belts to be detonated before they reached the building. The early statistics of these explosions showed the death of 5 martyrs and the wounding of 9 civilians. The explosions also led to great damage in public and private property, houses and cars. The Ministry of Interior immediately began investigation, taking samples of the remains of the explosions from the scenes of these crimes. These terrorists belonged to the so-called Jabhat Nusra. This was known from the types of clothes they wore. The ministry asserted that such cowardly crimes would never stop its work, and the ministry would continue to confront terrorism and to chase the extremist terrorist killers. The ministry called upon citizens to play their role in collaboration with the security forces and to give any information about their movements in order to contribute to the protection of the security and stability of our homeland. Confusion in the American diplomacy is reflected by contradictions in the statement of the American Secretary of State during a press conference in Doha concerning finding a solution to the crisis in Syria.
The scene exposes the state of confusion in the American diplomacy. This appeared in the contradictions of the statements of the American Secretary of State. On the one hand, he wants a peaceful solution that would spare the lives of his allies, who are similar to the terrorists that killed the American ambassador in Libya. American Secretary of State John Kerry considers necessary to supply the terrorists with weapons, although they represented America's security nightmare a decade ago.
We have decided that we have no choice in order to try to get to this negotiation, but to provide greater assistance of one kind or another, each nation making its own decision as to what it is comfortable doing, but all of them committing to do more to be able to help the Syrian opposition.
The victory of the Syrian army on the terrorists in Al-Qusayr and the Aleppo countryside has caused America to think of a step to raise the morale of the defeated terrorists. However, the American step raised fear in the American Congress. Some of those members proposed a draft law that would prevent their administration from arming the terrorist cannibals. The American intention was denounced by President Putin. Al-Qusayr left yellow shadows of darkness on the face of Ibn Jassim. Aleppo is his last adventure before he quits politics as a result of his failure before the Syrians.
The Syrian Arab Army units continued their operations of chasing the escaping terrorist groups and destroying the tools of their crimes. They destroyed a number of terrorist vehicles full of weapons and ammunition in Wadi al-Arqub in the Damascus countryside. In Al-Qaboon quarter, terrorist gangs sustained heavy losses. The dead terrorists included Usama Nashawati, Usama Ibbo and Ahmed Zuhair Ghannam, leader of one terrorist gang. In Jobar and its environs, the army stormed a number of terrorist hideouts, killing and wounding the hiding terrorists in the car garage. In the orchards of Barzeh, the army destroyed an important strategic position that was occupied by terrorist snipers. The terrorists took to their heels and demanded support from Al-Qaboon gangs, which were also attacked by the heroes of the Syrian army. The dead terrorists in Barzeh included Bilal al-Hamwi, Omar al-Khashin, and two other terrorist leaders. And 58 wanted men surrendered themselves and their weapons to the specialized authorities in Damascus and its countryside and in Deir ez-Zor, as the specialized authorities settled their situation after they pledged not to carry weapons again. The American website of Counterpunch considered the victories of the Syrian army, particularly in Al-Qusayr, more than the American administration could bear. So it announced its intention to arm the terrorist gangs. The website added that Obama was losing public support in America because the American intervention in Syria could lead to results worse than what happened in Iraq. This would ignite a regional war without any positive results. The Iranian Foreign Minister Ali Akbar Salehi asserted that arming the mercenary terrorist gangs led to the continuation of the crisis and bloodshed in Syria. He stressed Iran's refusal of imposing any foreign diktat on the Syrian people. In a joint press conference with his Lebanese counterpart Adnan Mansour in Tehran, Salehi said that they agreed that the influential country should take the necessary steps to solve the crisis in Syria. He also said that the Syrian situation remained basic in this region. The Lebanese foreign minister asserted that sending arms to the Syrian opposition would never serve peace and dialogue. He expressed his hope to see peace in Syria as soon as possible. French investigators accused a French officer of helping his brother to infiltrate into Syria in order to fight with the armed terrorist gangs. French information sources said the officer was accused, with two others, of supporting terrorism. Those two were arrested because of their links with terrorist groups in Paris. The three defendants would face trial in a French court tomorrow. French mass media asserted that dozens of French citizens infiltrated into Syria during the past few months in order to join the terrorist groups, which commit crimes of murder, abduction and sabotage. The Minister of Social Affairs, Dr. Kinda Shamat, asserted that supporting the non-governmental organizations is important because these organizations are the major partners in the field of salvation and humanitarian work, particularly in Syria's current circumstances. During her inauguration of a training workshop collaborating with the UNHCR, she stressed the necessity of training civil societies and setting up plans for their work. She pointed out that the government was offering help and services to all areas in collaboration with international organizations and civil societies. She explained that the UN High Commission for Refugees remained committed to the principles of neutrality, transparency and respect for Syria's national sovereignty. She asserted that the High Salvation Committee continued to ensure the supply of assistance to all the harmed citizens in all areas, according to the reports of the subsidiary committees. Mr. Tariq al-Kurdi, chairman of the UN refugee missions in Syria, stressed the importance of the role of the workshop in synchronizing all efforts to reduce the suffering of the harmed families and to raise the capacities of the civil societies working in this field. In the final communique of the conference, which was held in the Blue Tower in Damascus, the Syrian Family Gathering underlined the importance of being open so that we could recognize others who haven't participated in the killing of the Syrian people. The gathering also emphasized the necessity of fighting extremism, which splits the country, and calls for rejecting the foreign intervention in Syria's internal affairs. It's over to our economic news with Vani after the break. For more details, you can visit our website on syriaonline.sy. God bless you, and always long live Syria.